Welcome. My name is Steve Rogenstein. I'm your host and also the project director of Honey Bee Watch. I'm joined by a colleague, Rigo Moro, our science director, and this is our second cafe event. The mission with these Honey Bee Watch Cafés is to build a community centered around free-living honeybees. And it's an informal gathering with people from around the world. We have Israel, we have Germany, we have Russia and the UK. I'm in Italy right now, Ireland. I don't know where everyone else is from. And it's an opportunity for you to share your stories, either about research, personal experiences, observations about free-living bees. And it's to connect us closer to the bees as well and to nature. And it's to inspire. When we hear other people's stories about their experiences, hopefully it will inspire you to have a deeper relationship with the free-living bees and or nature, and hopefully in the future or now to eventually do our part to conserve these precious creatures. If you would like to give a talk in the future in a cafe setting, you only have to go to our website under events, scroll down, and we have a link to a very simple application form, which you can fill out and we will review. So for those of you who don't know, very, very briefly, Honey Bee Watch is an international coalition tasked with better understanding how and why free-living honeybees are surviving through natural selection with little to no human intervention. If you'd like to know more about the project, you can go onto our website. You have the About page. What's also informative is on our resources page. We have a recorded introduction, a formal introduction about 10 minutes long. Talks about our mission, our vision, our objectives, where we are currently, what events we've done, and what the future holds. So if you'd like, go to our website and get more information there. We also have a resources section that has publications and journals. There are videos, there are lectures. We have recorded past speakers and have posted them from the cafe as well as the symposia. There are event listings. We have future events, we have past events. We did a special event at Blenheim Palace in the UK in April, and we produced a video, very professional, that we just posted. So if you'd like, check that out. And there's more, of course, on our website to explore. So Ollie Visick is getting his PhD at the University of Sussex in the United Kingdom. He is studying free-living bees and has found more than 39 nests so far, which he's actually observing. He's found more, and he's going to share anecdotes and experiences with them. And I'm going to put a timer for you of 12 minutes. And actually, I'll do it for 11 minutes. And when you hear my chime, that means you have 1 minute left.
Okay.
Would you like to share your screen? And and then after Ollie is done, we'll have some questions, and then we will introduce Ivan and then hear from him.
Are you seeing everything all right?
Yes, it looks great. Let me know when you are ready.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Go for it.
Okay, so hello everyone. As Steve's mentioned, I'm Ollie Visick, so I'm a PhD student at the University of Sussex, studying free-living honeybee colonies in southern England, specifically the counties of Sussex and Kent. And as part of my PhD, I've been monitoring 40 nest sites at 6 locations in those counties. And the vast majority of these nest sites are in trees, specifically large and old trees, many of which are listed on the national database. So my talk's going to be about anecdotes and experiences that I've gained during the first 3 years of my PhD, and I've entitled the presentation Bees and Trees. So just a quick background about the work I've been doing. So I found that colonies occur at densities of often exceed 2 per square kilometre in the study area, and that roughly 50% of colonies survive each winter, although this is only preliminary data from the first 2 winters. But it does suggest that mortality rates aren't as high as reported elsewhere in Europe, and that these colonies don't simply represent swarms that have come from managed hives. But for this presentation, I'm not going to go into any detail about the data I've collected, and instead I'm focusing on anecdotes and sort of stories about specific colonies that I've been watching over the past few years. And I thought I'd start with the first bee tree that I found, which was in it's a beech tree in Firle Estate in East Sussex. So this tree has 2 co-dominant stems. I don't know if you can see my mouse there. And in February of 2021, I found a wild free-living colony nesting in one of these co-dominant stems, and it was 5.8 meters above ground and southwest facing. And every time I visited this colony is very active and always bringing in lots of pollen. This site is particularly good for ivy pollen in the autumn. And later, over a year later, in the summer of 2022, I had a closer look and found that a colony had also occupied the other co-dominant stem. And whether this swarm had come from the colony in the same tree, I'm not sure, but it was interesting to see 2 colonies living so close together. However, unfortunately, this tree ended up falling down, getting blown over in a storm named Storm Otto, which hit the UK in the spring of this year with 70-mile-an-hour winds. And this photo that I've got here was actually taken a few months after the swarm. But I did go and visit the tree shortly after it came down for my spring survey. And unfortunately, the first colony that I found had died. So the 2 stems there, you can see, are now completely separated. And the stem with the first colony fell from 5.8 meters to 1.5 meters, so over 4 meters, sorry. And the entrance was now actually at chest height. Because this colony fell on its side, so it was now west facing instead of southwest facing. All of the combs inside must have collapsed, and the colony unfortunately didn't make it. But to my surprise, the second colony was actually still active just over a month after the tree fell down, and this is probably because this stem fell forward, so it was still north facing. You can see the breakage there. But yes, I was surprised to see this colony still active and still a lot of activity after the tree came down. So because this the first colony was now at chest height, I was able to look inside the cavity and see what had happened. I'll turn the volume down. So you can see from the video there that the combs had collapsed, and unfortunately that was probably why the colony didn't make it. If I go back to the start of the video, you can see this big crack that's formed near the cavity, and I was wondering whether this cavity was still usable, even though it's now on its side, and whether this crack, has it's damaged the physical properties of the cavity. But again, to my surprise, I found later that year, or this year in the summer, that another colony had moved in. And again, whether this swarm came from the second colony and the other stem, I'm not sure. But it's just interesting to see how resilient these bees are. And be interesting to see whether these colonies survive into the next years. So that bee tree represented a unique opportunity to inspect a cavity because it conveniently fell to within chest height. But most of the cavities that I've been monitoring are inaccessible and up to 20 meters above the ground. And to inspect these colonies, to get close-up photos and to check if they're active or not, I've been using this 12-meter telescopic pole, which you can see here in the image. So this is an old ash tree at Moat Park, which is in Kent. And this particular tree again has two colonies in it. And one of them I measured it was 16.8 meters above the ground, and I did that using a clinometer. And this colony was out of reach of the telescopic pole, even with a 3-meter extension, which you can see at the top there. And there's also a colony in the other stem of the tree, and this one had two entrances almost a meter apart, which you can see there. So the inspection camera had been used to take close-up photos of the entrance and use these photos to measure nest site characteristics like entrance area and things like that. But I'd also use this inspection camera to check on inactive nest sites and check for evidence of other cavity nesting species, because of course these nest sites are not only used by wild honeybee colonies. So this is another tree from Moat Park in Kent. I found a colony nesting in it in the summer of 2022. And when I first found the colony, the entrance to this nesting cavity was reduced heavily with propolis. Unfortunately, you can't see it from this photo. But when I checked on the colony nest site in the spring of this year, I'd found that the entrance and the propolis had been excavated, as you can see from the discoloration around the entrance there. And after using the inspection camera, I'd found that all of the combs had been almost entirely removed, and some nesting material, which looks like oak leaves in this case, had been put in the cavity, probably by a bird. And I took a video here, and you can see the wax moths, the adult wax moths, which may have just emerged from larvae, which, as many of you know, are important for removing old and potentially diseased comb from in abandoned or inactive nests. And lastly, I'm going to share a nest site that I've been monitoring in Buxted Park in East Sussex, and in this case, it's the other way around. So this is a sweet chestnut tree in quite an odd cavity where the entrance is sort of facing downwards. and it had been previously used by a bird. Again, I'm not sure what species, but it was then the bees, a free living colony, and took over this nest. And you can see the nesting material, which in this case is twigs, have all been properlized. And I mean, it looks like a real mess, but I thought it was just interesting to show that the interaction between birds and bees isn't one way. You know, sometimes the bees overtake old birds' nests, and sometimes it's the other way around with wild colonies occupying or colonizing old birds' nests. So on that note, I'd just like to say thank you for listening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.